Sam, welcome to Teal Talk. I think about the jump you made from doing so well and winning basically everything in the OHL last year to now being a full-time NHLer, hard minutes, all the games. That's quite the jump. And I know you want to have success here instantly in San Jose, but do you ever stop and think about the leap you've made simply from last hockey season to this hockey season?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of the hardest jumps to make. And, everybody's dream is to get to the NHL and to get there as quick as possible. But, at the same time, you don't want to rush your development or anything like that. So for me, it was just kind of focusing day by day. When I got here, day one of training camp, I knew my spot here wasn't guaranteed. And there was a lot of work to put in and a lot to show the coaches and the management that I belonged here and could play here. And, ever since kind of, I got the okay that I was going to stick around, it's still been the same thing. I know I've got to, earn all my minutes and even just earn getting in the lineup. So, at times, you look back and, you think of last year where, there's some games where you're going out there and it's a bit of an easier game and, you get to hear and, every single game's a grind and an absolute battle.
I'm sure you'd still love to have the 5 and 6 point nights. They'll come eventually, right? But it's a process. I understand that. I'm not asking you to write your own autobiography yet, but what are the things that you've already learned in about 2/3 of an NHL season? Tips or tricks or hacks or mentalities, things that you have adapted to this season in this league?
I think just learning how hard it is to be here and to stick around. It's a game, but at the same time, it's a business.
Yeah.
And it's the business of winning, and everybody wants to win here. And if you're not pulling your weight or doing your job, they'll go out and they'll find someone who's gonna.
Yeah.
So, coming in, you've got to give it your all every day. Practice, you're being evaluated. Games, you're obviously being evaluated. When you're up in the gym working out, you're being evaluated. So, it's coming in and just always putting your best foot forward.
Sam Dickinson, as I saw it, was scouted as an offensive-minded defenseman, but yet here in the NHL, it's been more defense first. And I'm wondering, and I'm guessing here, that's been asked of you, right? To be reliable, start there, and then maybe branch out with the offensive side of your game?
Definitely. I mean, I think I've said it a couple times, I am a defenseman, so I figure I should be pretty good at the whole defense thing. But
comes first, yeah.
I think, at the same time, I think that's probably the proper way to jump into the NHL or even anywhere.
Yeah.
I think when I was getting into the OHL, it was a similar thing. I came in on a good team, and I had to learn how to defend. I had to earn the trust of the coaches that they could put me out there to keep the puck out of the net. And once you learn those things and you learn how to do that stuff, then it's a lot easier to learn offense than to learn defense. So I think I'm starting to turn the corner. And I think, when I'm watching myself and when I'm going out there, I think I'm starting to push the pace and want to get more in the offense, but at the same time not hurt the team defensively and make sure I'm still rock solid like that.
You're a teenager still. I can't believe I'm talking to a teenager right now. So you have the opportunity to play in this league, right, for a lot of years. Do you already start preparing yourself and your habits and your body, and do you start preparing for a long-term career right now? Can you even think about it that far? I mean, again, I think it's the early start part of it. How do you see that side?
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny, being here and being a 19-year-old, and I'm walking around and a bunch of the guys in the team are having kids, and
right.
You're like, oh, let's go do something after practice.
Right.
And it's like, no, I've got to go hang out with my kids. So
right.
In that sense, it's a different world, but at the same time, like you said, with kind of understanding this could be the start of something long, is I think just learning from the guys who have been around for a long time and have had those long careers, and taking the tips and things that you see from them, how they prepare themselves for games and practices as well, how they recover, how they take care of their bodies and that sort of thing, to be able to play a long career. And it's obviously something that I want to do. So I'm trying to take in everything I can from everybody that I can that's here.
If you want to hang out with me this afternoon, I got to pick up my son in about 2 hours. That's what I'm doing. So see, I'm an old guy. I'm an old guy, just like that. Who is your support system? Who are the family, friends, teammates, coaches, all the people that have Sam Dickinson's back?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, pretty easily you think of everybody involved with the Sharks is here to help me out, which is great. Teammates, the coaches, the management, the strength guys, the medical staff, the equipment, like, they've all been so fantastic, and helping me learn things. And it's about 5-hour plane ride back, but my parents are always the first people that I can talk to. My dad especially always wants to hear from me after the game. He's always texting me, just wanting to know anything and everything he can. He's just as into all this stuff as I am, which is really nice. He's just I can just call him and just talk about anything away from hockey. I'll call him and ask him how to do the laundry, just if I forget or something like that, or where I can go out to get something like that. So I'm learning a lot of things away from hockey as well. So they've been great, and just so many friends and family back home. My brother's always one of the first people that I'm talking to every day. So just so many people that want the best for me that I'm very grateful for.
I asked that because, again, this year has been so much for you, not just the leap from the OHL to the NHL, but living by yourself, being by yourself, first time ever, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you're doing that's brand new to you this year.
Yeah, I mean, at times it feels like you're kind of just thrown to the fire, and you just kind of got to figure it out.
Right.
But with the support staff that's here, and the people that I have in my corner that have helped me out, it's made it a lot easier of a transition.
You like California so far?
That was one of the first things I said when I got out here was, I'm out of the cold, I'm in the warmth. So
you haven't shoveled snow, I bet, here in San Jose yet.
When I went back home and saw the snow, I remembered how grateful I am that the shoveling of snow.
He's got flip-flops on right now, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. You can wear those outside if you
exactly.
wanted to. Last thing for you here, we're basically 2/3 of the way through this season. You've been around the entire time. What's a strong finish look like? And I know what the team wants. We all know what the team wants. But for you individually, what's a strong finish to this season look like for number 6?
I think it's just continuing to develop my game. I think from game 1 to game 55 that we just played, or the games that I've been in, is I think I've just tried to get that little bit better every game and learn something new every game, learn a new lesson. And I think for me it's just continuing to do that, continuing to sort of turn the curve of being trusted more, getting more minutes, helping the team win games, and wanting to, be in those big time situations, last minute of the game, up a goal, down a goal, all those things. I want to kind of, continue to turn the curve and just improve my game as much as I can, and just be a guy that the coaches can look at and be trusted on the ice, and as well as my teammates out there can trust me to make plays and do the right thing.
Sam, I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.